They say truth always finds its way, but no one expected it to walk into the courtroom wearing a calm smile and a government badge. When Officer Grant took the stand, his voice was steady, his story rehearsed. He spoke of a reckless driver, a woman who refused to cooperate. The jurors nodded, the judge listened. But in the crowd sat the woman he'd accused, Maya Johnson, silent, composed, and watching him lie under oath. What Grant didn't know was that Maya wasn't just another driver. She was a government inspector investigating corruption in his very department. And every word he spoke was being recorded for the truth that was about to unravel. The courtroom buzzed with whispers as Maya stood. No one had expected her to represent herself. Her tone was steady, almost too calm, as she questioned the officer's version. "You said I ran a red light," she asked. Grant nodded, confident. But then, she pulled out a small black device from her purse, a government-issued dash recorder. "Would you like the court to see the footage?" The room fell silent. Grant's eyes flickered. The judge leaned forward. In one click, the screen lit up, showing something no one expected, a clear recording of a calm drive, a stop at every light, and an officer pulling her over for no reason. The truth had just entered the room. Grant tried to steady his voice. That video could have been edited, he argued. But Maya simply smiled, sliding forward a sealed folder. Inside were timestamps, GPS records, and an official seal verifying the footage. The judge studied them quietly. The spectators leaned in, sensing the shift in power. Maya didn't gloat, she didn't even raise her voice. She just said softly, "You lied, officer. And you did it under oath." The silence that followed was heavier than any gavel strike. For the first time, Grant's confidence cracked. But this was just the beginning, because Maya's real mission wasn't just to clear her name. It was to expose a pattern. Weeks before that day, Maya had been quietly reviewing complaints about falsified police reports. Too many of them matched Officer Grant's signature. She'd gone undercover, testing how deep the problem went. The day he pulled her over wasn't coincidence, it was part of her audit plan. What he thought was an easy target turned out to be his biggest mistake. Her calmness wasn't fear, it was calculation. Each interaction, each word, was evidence. Now, in court, her patience was paying off. Justice wasn't a surprise for her, it was the result of a plan years in the making. Grant's defense attorney scrambled to regain control. Even if the report was wrong, he said, it could be human error. But Maya wasn't finished. She presented another file, reports from 3 different citizens who'd accused Grant of similar behavior. One after another, she called witnesses, a store clerk, a nurse, a retired teacher. Each told a story of being stopped without cause, fined unfairly, or spoken to disrespectfully. The courtroom energy shifted completely. The jurors weren't looking at Maya as a defendant anymore. They were seeing her as the only person brave enough to reveal the truth. By the 6th day, the media had caught wind of the case. Headlines read, "Government Inspector Exposes Police Lies in Court." Cameras waited outside. Maya didn't want fame, she wanted reform. She knew one case couldn't change everything, but it could start something. Inside the courthouse, she spoke softly during her statement. "The law should protect, not intimidate," she said. The judge nodded. The words hung in the air, not loud, not dramatic, but powerful enough to echo beyond the room. Sometimes, truth doesn't roar. It whispers, and still gets heard. By the 6th day, the media had caught wind of the case. Headlines read, "Government Inspector Exposes Police Lies in Court." Cameras waited outside. Maya didn't want fame, she wanted reform. She knew one case couldn't change everything, but it could start something. Inside the courthouse, she spoke softly during her statement. "The law should protect, not intimidate," she said. The judge nodded. The words hung in the air, not loud, not dramatic, but powerful enough to echo beyond the room. Sometimes, truth doesn't roar. It whispers, and still gets heard. After court, Maya walked alone into the sunlight. Reporters called her name, cameras flashed, but she just kept walking. Her thoughts weren't on the cameras, they were on the faces of those citizens who'd thanked her quietly, saying, "You spoke for us." It wasn't victory she felt. It was relief. Relief that for once, the truth wasn't silenced. She knew more battles lay ahead. Change was slow. But she'd made a crack in the wall, and sometimes, that's all it takes for light to get in. Weeks later, an internal affairs report confirmed Maya's findings. Several officers linked to Grant were now under review. Training programs were being rewritten. Policies were being questioned. Maya returned to her office, tired but fulfilled. Her supervisor handed her a letter, a commendation for outstanding service in upholding integrity. She smiled faintly, knowing that real recognition came not from awards, but from the quiet trust of those who now believed in fairness again. Months later, a small town hall meeting was held. Maya stood at the front, speaking not as an inspector, but as a citizen. "We can't fix what we don't face," she said. The crowd listened, police officers, students, parents. "Accountability doesn't divide us. It protects us." The audience applauded, not because of her title, but because of her truth. The story that began with a lie ended with a lesson that justice, though often delayed, never disappears. It waits, patient and quiet, for someone brave enough to bring it back into the light.